stay off of Summoner's Rift. I feel like there's a lot of that.
Two swords is one too many. They need to cut him down. Give him a one sword.
Yeah,
you know?
that's called his brother. And do you really want second to play his brother?
He has to be the cooler brother, you know?
Gentlemen, FlyQuest have heard my prayers.
His parents
Aurora
only gave
and
his brother
Yone
one
are
sword? Two
both going
swords
to
for
be
this
banned
brother?
out. Oh my God, are we still on the swords? Aurora and Yone are banned away as Ivern and Cassiopeia are also banned out. HLE, although they got the win in game number 1, apparently they are not used to the Cassiopeia. They don't want to be dealing with that one anymore. They'll take it off the table.
Well, and I do think of the isolated 1v1, Quad was actually doing pretty well. Obviously, there was some pressure put on him, but it is a tough matchup for some of those melee matchups, not just the Yone, but if you wanted to go towards like Akali or Sylas, a lot of these style champions can really struggle in that isolated 1v1. And it's just actually really frustrating playing into the Miasma. If you get any sort of CC into that W, you can't snap back, you can't outplay. It feels like you're kind of playing in slow motion in a lot of ways. So we will see what the option is going to be. A lot of those big first picks that we normally see people go towards are banned out, and the Renekton's going to be taken away there from Whippo. That was banned out last game, was dropped for that Cassio ban, and it's definitely kind of considered to be Whippo's best pick.
I mean, he played it a lot in the LCS.
He did. It was like 9 straight games, I think.
Yeah. It was a lot. And
he was smurfing.
I mean, he values the pick. When we saw him playing it earlier in the Swiss stage, he had the Ivern at his back, so that when he was diving in, at first I thought, okay, he's inting. No, he had the tree.
I also thought he was inting.
Yeah.
His teammate also may have fun, but he wasn't.
But he wasn't. The great deception. Kalista going to be locked in for FlyQuest. I say, hang on. For some reason, I'm talking like Whippo locked in the Renekton. Of course, it's Doran that's locked it in. My apologies. For some reason, I thought the FlyQuest was on the blue side. Doran crucially taking that one away from Whippo because of how successful he was.
Yep, and he's going to lock in the Olaf, which was one of his answers into Renekton in the LCS. This is, again, one of these picks that I mentioned in the last game coming in that he does really favor. The one thing I will say is I think Olaf, you know, if you compare it with like Ivern or some sort of, you know, enchanter, it really can be quite strong. But if you don't have that luxury, which they don't this game, obviously, with the Ivern being banned away, then you really do have to get ahead of the pace of the game, or you can be so useless. And it is going to be Zyra, so a bit of a throwback to kind of the previous meta from jungle.
Yeah, very different style from what we've seen so far. If you look at the champions played by Peanuts so far in Worlds 2024, it's been 3 Sejuanis, a Maokai, and a Vi. So 4 tanks and a diver, but all still melee champions, all still engage mechanisms. The Zyra's going to be more of that summer split style that we saw being the meta-dominant version.
Yeah, and I mean, there's kind of two sides to this coin, because obviously Olaf, you know, you can go CC a Moon and just try to chase down the Zyra, burst her down, but at the same time, it can sometimes be pretty difficult if Olaf is going too far ahead of the rest of the team. The ulti gets dropped in between your teammates and you, the Olaf, from Zyra, and then all of a sudden there's these empowered plants, and it's very difficult to actually follow up on what the Olaf is trying to do.
I coin that the Jarvan effect, where I flash EQ ult and then I go, where's
no
my
follow-up?
team? Yeah.
Where's team? The perfect ulti here, 4 screens away from you. Why couldn't you get here, Ash?
Yeah, exactly. You know, that's why Victor used to be a pretty good answer to things like Olaf, because you put the gravity field between the Olaf who runs through it and everyone else who then can't.
And then everybody just shoots Olaf, and all right, we've got a 5v4. But we are going to now get into the second half of the draft with the Ezreal being picked for Hanwha alongside the Zyra. The support for FlyQuest this time around will be the Leona to pair with the Kalista. Very tanky, very effective, just throwing her in there to be that disruptor, space creator, lockdown, whatever you need her to be. But now that we're looking at the second half of the bans, it's FlyQuest getting rid of the hyper-scaling Smolder, getting rid of the counter-engage of the Braum. Meanwhile, Hanwha Life are going to take out another one of the champions FlyQuest played in game number 1, and another one that Inspired has relied on a lot in the Amumu.
Absolutely, and I do think the Smolder is a pretty smart ban here, because champions like Zyra really do bring some pretty heavy AP threat, so it is something that can enable a very heavily AD comp. So I do think it makes sense from this situation. Viper on this Ezreal, though, going to be so difficult to actually lock down and burst down. And I want to see what FlyQuest is going to do with their final picks here. If they're just going to fully commit to hard dive, obviously, you know, Mumu banned, Ivern banned. Those are the only champions that Inspired has actually played thus far at Worlds. And I'm curious to see with these banned out if he'll just go towards that AP farming style that he was so well known for in the LCS for most of the season, or if he'll go a very different route. New lock.
It's a new lock-in.
And he was, Inspired was laughing there. So I wonder if this is going to be like a really heavy gank style, because normally if you play against a lot of the new one tricks and stuff in solo queue, they're just non-stop ganking, rolling snowballs through mid lane over and over and over, making it a bit of a nightmare to actually play against. I think it's more so that style than when you think back to the really old Nunu, where you think it's all about counter jungling. Most of what I have seen is more about fast pace in the jungle and then non-stop gank. So that's kind of what I'm expecting, but I'm going to be really interested to actually see, what he brings out. He has not played this at all in the LCS in his time there.
I don't think he's played it
I don't know if he's played it in his career.
I don't think so.
And this is a pick that just it's for sure the first at Worlds. We didn't see it in the LCS a single time in the summer. I don't know if you did.
This might even be the first Nunu ever at Worlds.
I'm not sure. I'm really curious.
No. Maybe in season 2.
Look.
Maybe in season 2. Maybe that's...
Oh, I've got it right in front of us here,
there we
boys.
go,
Look at the monitor. First
Too
Nunu
ambitious.
at Worlds since 2017
Okay.
play-ins.
Damn.
I'm just wondering if anyone even played it in a major region in all of summer.
It's the guy with one sword.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, well, when you can't have two swords, what are you going to go for? You got to settle.
Thaddeus, I thought we were just bantering earlier when we were talking about trade
We
out
were
the
having a
samurai
serious
with
conversation over here,
Yeah.
Flowers, and you were just interrupting
I
us.
guess I'm the outside
Yeah,
man
you are.
here. Okay, so pairing it with the Poppy knockup, remember the
backup
snapcast
brother.
of Keeper's Verdict can just knock the target up immediately. So there's your enabling for Yasuo on that one. Zyra ulti also setting it up for the last
I believe
breath.
the E also works from Poppy if you
Yeah.
insta ult off of it, too.
Any displace counts.
Exactly.
I don't know if I like Hanwha Life's draft, though.
Like samurais with one
It
sword?
is. It is a bit disjointed, I do think.
That
Yeah.
when I maybe I just don't fully understand it. It's just that when I look at it at its surface, it's like, okay, so you've got relatively
Renekton,
short-range
Poppy,
Renekton, and
Yasuo.
Renekton Yasuo wants to go in. Zyra and Ezreal kind of want to play from
back.
range,
Yeah.
so they kind of seem a little bit at odds with one another.
Okay.
Meanwhile, FlyQuest composition is very teamfight focused. Again, right? You've got a very solid front line in the form of Inspired and Lucio. You've got long-range poke with the Hui, and then you've got backline access, also with potential side lane threat coming from the Olaf, who I think, especially in the mid game when you're at about a single item, should definitely be able to outduel things like the Yasuo inside.
I mean, honestly, for me, all eyes for FlyQuest now are on top jungle. I think so much of this game is going to be dictated by how the early game goes for Bwipo as well as for Inspired. I really am interested to see how they're going to be able to perform on this. They talked about, some of these drafts that they might be cooking up. There's a lot of rumors about, them trying to prep these really sneaky plays, sneaky champions. They brought out some stuff in game 1. Honestly, it nearly worked. And in game 2, they are cooking once more. Let's see if it works.
The first Nunu at Worlds in 7 years.
It's a while.
And FlyQuest are locking it in a do-or-die game here for this series.
When was the Nunu rework? Was
I
that
don't remember,
because
man.
in
I don't
2017? I wonder if it was old Nunu or new Nunu.
I believe it is Nunu.
In 2017? It's the new Nunu?
It's the Nunu.
Nunu? Not the old Nunu? Because it would have been interesting if it was pre-rework and this would have been the first Nunu at Worlds, but either way, very cool stuff
funnily
here.
enough, I sat there and said I didn't think it was maybe first time it was, but then I remember old Diamond Procs Nunu, and I was like, that's the Nunu I remember.
Now you're throwing it back.
You know,
Thaddeus, half the audience probably doesn't even remember
the
that
old
era.
the old Empire strats
Yeah,
where they
Sniper
sit in a
wasn't born.
brush. No, don't say that.
You're like, hey, take that back.
Yeah. It's easy to forget that I'm 31.
You're right, but that's wrong.
God. All right. Well, we're jumping into game 2. Of course, neither team is eliminated here for viewers at home if you are a Worlds enjoyer. The winner will qualify for the quarterfinals. The loser will move into the 2-2 bracket, which will be the final opportunity to qualify for the quarterfinals.
So, Nunu was reworked in patch 8.17, which was August of 2018. So the last
first-
time this champion was played at Worlds was the old Nunu.
First Nunu at
Yeah.
at Worlds.
That's okay. Let's see what
I think that's
Inspired's
new.
got cooking up here. I'm excited to see how FlyQuest want to play this, want to pilot this. Also back in the mid lane, we're seeing the Hui here for quad. This is a very traditional control mage type champion. Very little mobility, but a ton of wave clear and a ton of range. The Severing Bolt specifically being that long range execution spell that it's got a lot of skill you got to express to hit it. It's pretty difficult sometimes if you are not immediately accurate.
Yeah, it's absolutely true, but I think a lot of cases you're just be looking to try to follow up on what Lucio is doing.
Yep.
You use that point and click CC, follow up with the Severing Bolt. Of course, there is a tremendous amount of damage that can come out from Hui, but the wind wall can also be very problematic for you, right? So, Yasuo only has one sword, but does have a wall to make up for it.
We're never getting past this sword thing.
Now, swords are pretty important.
It's true.
What if you drop your sword? Yone has a backup sword. What does Yasuo have? Nothing.
The wind.
Yeah, he's got a
He
wind
can
wall.
blow
You
on
just
you really
talked
hard.
about this.
Now, because we don't get to see Nunu very often, you'll notice that his clear speed is probably faster than many of you are expecting. Like, when we think about fastest clears in the game, Zyra is naturally the one that immediately comes to mind.
Yeah.
Part of the reason why she even came into meta was because of all those videos coming out of how quickly she could just steamroll her way through an early clear. But Nunu, I mean, still behind, of course, still a camp behind right now. Peanut still showcasing why this champion clears so fast. Already level 4, hovering around the bot side of the map. But Inspired, just a single camp behind and very quickly making his way through the Croak. Should be able to secure that top Scuttle Crab.
Ooh, immediately though. Lucio taking a little bit of damage here. Peanut not wanting to allow that Leona to get away with anything. Showing up in the tri-brush to put a little bit of extra pressure on the bottom lane.
Yep, FlyQuest very clearly aware of the timing at which he would be done that clear, though, and they are able to back off. Obviously, Lucio takes a little bit of a chunk for it, but they don't expose themselves to any sort of a gank. And on the top side, Inspired is just going to be able to take away that.
Right there you see is kind of Hui's only defense mechanism against the Yasuo. You hit him with a fear, point blank. Inspired is ready to make his gank in mid lane, but some nice jukes from Zeka get away from the snowball. He still has to flash out to escape the root.
Exactly, and this is my experience when I play against Nunu, is that they just farm the side camps and they roll through mid lane over and over and over. It's one of the champions, I talked about it in last game, about how Yone is very difficult to punish ever since they actually move these brushes on side of mid lane out further. You have more and more time to react. Nunu is one of the only champions that it's still so hard to react to, because if he really gets that move speed going with that W rolling the snowball in, even if you see him, you still can't always back off in time.
And you'll notice as well, Zeka played it well by utilizing the E from Yone to navigate his way past the snowball as Peanut hovers around top. Ghost going to be popped.
Ghost from Whippo, but now he's heading back the other direction. That might not be the right choice.
Good
Whippo's
shield.
down to 100 HP. He doesn't want to lose out on all this EXP from the minions. Picks up his axe, throws another undertow back. Doran flashing to guarantee the last turret shot doesn't fire off, but it's still first blood over to Hanwha Life Esports.
So Whippo does everything right, holding onto his W to provide him with the shield to help him tank the dive that's happening. And then with his Q, he tries to clear out as much of the wave as possible. Notice he wasn't that far off level 5. He thought maybe if you could get that level up, there's opportunities there for him to turn it around. But at the very least, he gets the flash out from Doran after applying the slow from his Q onto the Renekton.
And it's just really well played from HLE. And it's, again, last game to me was very much just about Peanut and Doran and how they played together, utilizing the Sejuani Jax. In this case, Whippo had the early push. And so all Doran does is when the wave bounces, he slow stacks the wave, pushes it slowly towards Whippo. Whippo is not going to be level 6, so he has no CC immunity. You have a point and click stun from Renekton, who he can't avoid because he doesn't even have flash. He's playing Ghost. Flash stun, obviously. In this case, they didn't even need to. But then the Root is going to follow that up from Peanut. And they're able to get an easy kill and create a nice advantage there for Doran, who gets a much better buy here. Whippo with no potion, and it is going to be the steel caps over on the other side for Doran already.
Yeah, kind of the ideal first buy for both the top and jungle of HLE, with the plated steel caps for the Renekton, the faded ashes for the Zyra. Everything there is feeling exactly what you would want it to be. You can see the highest level in the game right now is Zeka hitting level 7 first, but hitting level 6 first, excuse me, with Quad right behind him, about to hit the ulti here on the Hui. As Inspired, again, just rolling that snowball around for some extra mobility. Going to make his way over into the Void Grub pit, but Peanut is showing up now to intercept him. Whippo only at half HP, turns back onto Doran, who, remember, does not have the flash. Inspired being first to this fight means that Doran doesn't want to try to jump on Whippo and burst him down.
The problem is the pressure in mid lane. It's Zeka that's always able to get that prio. He's kind of continuing to get the individual advantages over Quad in the way that he's trading. And with that prio, he's able to work with Peanut. I mean, the good news from Inspired is he's able to get one. Nunu, he chomps on camps very quickly. And he's able to at least secure for the potential 4 grub buff later.
And Whippo is just honestly getting kind of traded down slowly but surely. And now actually gets interrupted on that recall, which is really bad because the wave is bad for him. And he's down very low. So Whippo going to be stuck in this spot where he has to take a horrible recall and is going to fall further and further behind, which is, of course, that massive concern when you are playing Olaf. You need to be ahead of the pace of the game. This is a champion with essentially 0 utility, or as close to 0 utility as you can get. Yeah, you have a slow on your Q, but that is about it. So you have to be strong, you have to be able to charge in there, survive, and punish people. And look where Peanut's positioning. Peanut's already there to actually zone him off when he walks back. So if Inspired is not covering Whippo some more, Whippo is going to be completely out of this game. And even if the rest of the map goes well, it's not going to matter because you're playing 4v5 for the rest of this game.
Yeah, and now he's trying to make his way back, pops the Ragnarok, wants to turn it back onto the jungler, I would have to think, but it's so difficult to do. finally using the W shield, just
Dead.
barely staying alive, but surely he's just dead now. Cole the Meek, Bwipo is out for the second time, and Hanwha Life is doing a great job bullying this Olaf.
I mean, Azael already highlighted it, but again, the coordination between Peanut and Doran is just exceptional. The timing is good, the wave setup is good. 2 stacked waves now, they've successfully dived Bwipo, and there's been 0 contest. No support there for coverage, no jungle there for coverage, and he's just left bleeding farm. You'll notice now that he is almost 30 CS down, and he is a full level behind his lane counterpart.
I mean, he's completely out of the game, right? You know, from this spot, your only hope to be relevant is that you randomly get a bunch of cleanup kills in some fight later on that your teammates have set up for you.
Right.
But it's going to be so hard, and honestly, it's just a jungle gap from Peanut here. You know, Inspired playing this champion that is so well known for all this early jungle pressure. Yes, he did force a flash out of Zeka, but Peanut is playing the farm scale, you know, weak early game champion Zyra. He's already made 2 dives happen on the top side.
Look, man, if one jungler's getting a flash and the other one's setting up 2 kills, I'll take the 2 kills every day of the week. Peanut having an awesome showing early on here in the first 8 minutes. And the other issue is, if your top laner is completely out of the game just 8 minutes in, now we've got problems. 2 minutes from now, second set of grubs is spawning, and it's already a 2-to-1 lead for HLE with that first set. You're also going to have the Rift Herald showing up. What happens if Renekton is there on a full item power spike, absolutely running away with the game, and Olaf's still struggling?
It's a difficult early game
Nothing good
for FlyQuest to find themselves in. And unfortunately, they don't have the same tools that they had in the previous game. Admittedly, I still think that their team fighting is good. It's just a question of how much worse can HLE make this early game?
All right, Inspired's coming in. Goes from Bwipo, chasing after Doran, popping the Ragnarok, wants to get as much damage as possible. Bwipo's gonna be the first one to tank the turret, and Bwipo, with the help from Inspired, FlyQuest looking to bring him back into this one.
Yeah, that is actually really important. There is a TP on Doran, so we won't lose too much, but credit to FlyQuest on the timers there. There was 1 second on Doran's ultimate when he died. 1 second before that was about to come up. His flash was coming back up as well. So that really was the last possible chance they had to make a play happen. And it does claw some semblance of quality back into this game here for Bwipo.
I mean, it was, as you rightly said, crucial. Gives him a nice base, gets a little bit more gold, and he's actually making his way towards the bot side of the map right now. As a swap seems to have come through as Busio and Masu
clock.
grab a clock, as you rightly said.
But now the thing is, Bwipo does not have an ult, he does not have a ghost, and Doran has his flash and his ulti both ready for this grub spawn that's going to happen in about 15 seconds, making it a very difficult situation for FlyQuest to try to navigate.
Yeah, it is going to be incredibly hard. And I mean, FlyQuest would need to take 2 of the grubs away to even deny a Void Might spawn. I think they're probably going to have to give it up.
Zeka trying to get away from another snowball. Ooh, Inspired slams that one into the wall. These wall angles are tricky, man.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, he just didn't want to chase that far. You know, I think he is just kind of canceling it out, basically. When Zeka got that far back, he was going to be under his tower if they went for the dive. Just knows there's not really an angle for the grubs when Bwipo can't really respond.
Uh-oh. Speaking of not being able to respond, Doran going all the way in here for the slice, the dice, the dive. It's nice. Doran getting a solo kill now. He doesn't even need Peanut anymore. The Croc is all grown up and getting it done.
I mean, you want to talk about timing. 2 seconds until Bwipo's ultimate was about to come back up, and Doran, a crucial solo kill for him as he reasserts dominance over the top lane matchup.
And once again, it's Peanut just playing between the towers here, making it annoying. In this case, yeah, Masu will get back to the tower, but you still lost 2 or 3 minions there. These little incremental advantages that he's helping for his team to grow. And they have those 5 grubs. They have a 3,000 gold advantage, and it's going to be a hard one here for FlyQuest to claw back. And I mean, honestly, if you're FlyQuest, you're looking for 4v4s, and you're looking to be able to outplay in those 4v4s. You're hoping that there's...
Oh, the attempted engage from Busio, but the Zenith Blade is interrupted with a steadfast presence. Viper gets away, both summoner spells spent on that one. Flash, shielded daybreak from Busio to try to lock up Peanut, but it ain't gonna work out so well. TP reinforcements from HLE. Busio stuck in the middle of 4 players, and he ain't gonna get away from this one. Peanut's gonna be the trade, at least a 1-for-1 here in the scrap, but Masu is on the run. The Mystic shot, but the flash from the Callista keeps him alive.
A very forced play there from FlyQuest. You could see that once Viper had disengaged with the cleanse, they still wanted to chase for it, and Zeka TPing in response, noticing that Quad was on the bot side of the map. It ends up being a 1-for-1, and HLE don't really convert it into much as FlyQuest start off the Dragon.
Yeah, honestly, at the end of the day, I still think it's very positive for FlyQuest. You went 1-for-1 when you're heavily down in gold. You got the TP off Zeka, you got Flash off Peanut, you got both summoners off of Viper, you got the Ignite off Delight. You know, they did force out a lot. Yes, it did cost them the Flash off Masu and the summoners from Busio, but still overall, I think it's a pretty positive play, and they're going to need to make these incremental advantages and find these windows where they can make something happen. This was a very preemptive flash, honestly, from Viper. Just kind of didn't have the faith that Delight would interrupt the play. And with Delight being able to actually do that, you know, he wouldn't have needed to use it whatsoever. When the cleanse is forced then, Busio says, all right, Whippo's coming up. We're going to actually change the targeting here down onto Peanut. The TP's coming in from behind, which I don't think they actually realized as they just fully committed to the play.
Yeah, and it was... I think that even with Whippo's arrival, I guess they're saying that we want to make his time spent up here worthwhile. And as you rightly said, they end up getting a 1-for-1. And crucially, that top wave is still pushed out in favor of Whippo. And the Dragon goes down in favor of FlyQuest, giving them a 2-Dragon advantage. And crucially, Quad is able to pick up a plate on the bot side of the map. So you'll notice that mid lane gold discrepancy now barely anything after he completes his first item of the game.
So neutral objectives traded mostly evenly early on here in this game. 5 grubs to 1 favoring HLE, 2 drakes to nothing favoring FlyQuest. Cloud Soul, not quite as potent as some other ones could be, but on a champion like Olaf, it's really good. 2v1 here in the bottom lane. Spiraling Despair connects onto Doran. Do they have enough damage to take him out, though? It's just Busio and Quad's already used most of his spells. Severing Bolts doesn't hit the target, and Doran lives.
Look top, look top.
Zeka now in some trouble as the snowball's making its way in, but a nice flash away from it when Inspired can't make the turn. Whippo looking for a little bit more damage here to chase this guy down. The absolute zero isn't going to get a whole lot, and now Zeka can reset his shield with the last breath. Another kill for HLE.
Nicely done by Zeka there. Bought so much time, dashing back and forth, creating space, allows HLE to come in and reinforce, but still, it's a great play from FlyQuest on that bottom side. Even though they don't kill Doran, they force his flash, they force his ulti, they take down the tier 1 tower and get more gold in the hands of Quad.
Ultimately, the problem is...
Another dive, this time on mid lane. It's Viper! Shot to pieces with the spears, the shutdown, but it ends up going over to Busio.
That's actually so unlucky there. The Ignite tick took it right after the Ren went through, so Masu rendered them down to a couple HP, and the Ignite is what gives that shutdown gold over. You would have really loved to get that in the hands of Masu. They're going to look again. No flash, remember.
All right, Zeka could be in some danger here, but he might just try to turn it around. Back onto Whippo with a redemption coming in, though. Whippo will stay alive, and the shutdown this time goes over to Quad.
So the problem I had with the play from earlier is that FlyQuest was trying to make too many plays on the map, and by making a play both bot and top, it was going to be difficult to respond to the response from HLE, who were able to find that kill. The good news for FlyQuest is they find another kill top, but by investing 3 members top, and including the TP from Quad, they leave the bot lane tower completely exposed for Doran to be able to secure, and the mid lane tower ends up falling thanks to the Rift Herald dropped by Hanwha Life. So they still hold on to about a 2.5k gold lead. They set their sights on Doran, though.
All right, that snowball will not find the angle that Inspired wants.
He's gonna get rooted by E.
Doran's trying to use his teleport to get away, but that is not how it's going to work. Nunu's shield to keep himself alive against some of Doran's bursts, and Inspired will just disengage it as Doran gets caught and wastes a very critical summoner spell in the process.
That is one of those advantages of playing a champion that people haven't seen in a while in action. He clearly does not know how Nunu works. When you spam out that E, you get a root. That's always going to stop the TP. There's no end if or but about it. It was always going to interrupt the teleport.
I mean, that's the only logical explanation, right?
He just doesn't know what champion does. Happens, I guess, but definitely not one you want to see, as not only do they get the kill, they make him waste his teleport. And FlyQuest are slowly closing the gold gap. It was an over 3,000 gold lead like 6 minutes ago, which is much more important than it is at this point in the game, and FlyQuest are the ones with the extra dragons here, and I think a composition that is amazing with Cloud Soul.
It's an interesting situation where, like, okay, FlyQuest are down 3 towers to 1, but by going for that play in bot, there wasn't actually anything for Hanwha Life to cross map. So even though they've unlocked all these towers, they can't like extend that advantage any further because now you're pushing the waves far too deep, and the waves are in a fine spot for FlyQuest. So an uncontested punish. They now return to farming. They're now playing towards the top side of the map to allow Whippo, because that tower is easy pickings for FlyQuest that they should set their sights on.
Now, the game state still does favor HLE more in this second game than it did at the same time in game number 1. Remember back in game number 1 when we were at a similar point, Isaac, you and I were praising like, hey, if you're going to tell me that in this head-to-head, FlyQuest is only down 1,000 gold, that feels pretty good. This time around, even if they are clawing their way back, it's still 2,500 gold that they are behind. I feel like if they want to feel good about this game state, they need to win this next Drake, but it's going to be tough.
Yeah, and we'll see if they can do it. And they're going to have to put a lot of faith in Masu, in Quad, these carries. Masu has been having a really good World so far, has been standing out. You know, these are his stats so far at Swiss stage. And this is a player who, you know, went from amateur to NACL to just LCS this year, Rookie of the Year, and is really standing out. And we can see Zeka on top side. This might be them just giving the Dragon. We'll see if FlyQuest can secure it.
Zeka does have his teleport, and it looks like HLE are calling to use it. Busio eating a couple of shots here as FlyQuest is looking
Nunu,
to DPS
Kalista.
the Drake down. They've got Nunu and Kalista together. They should be able to secure this one, but they immediately get rid of the Nunu, and it's stolen away by Peanut. Bwipo's in the middle of everybody, but he's already going to be killed. They're trying to turn it back on the door on a FlyQuest side, but it ain't going to work. He survives the Spiraling Despair, and now Zeka's into the backline here as well, but he might just get killed. Quad grabbing the kill on that one as Delight tries to get away, but Masu is putting him like a pin cushion down here in the bottom lane. Quad ends up taking the kill, and FlyQuest, they lose the objective, but they come out +1 on the kills.
It's a nice start from the fight by HLE just because of the Poppy ultimate knocking Inspired out. You highlighted it. The Nunu combined with Kalista makes the objective very difficult to steal. But then HLE tried to force the fight, and that's really where things start to fall apart.
Exactly. You know, they do go in, they get this rejection. Honestly, they could have comboed it there earlier. You have Smite, Devour, and the Rend from 3K. That should be dead. So a bit of mistiming there. But as they go, we're back to live. We're back to another fight. Peanut's caught.
Peanut on this Zyra has his flash, but it's the only escape mechanism available, and it looks like FlyQuest is ready to collapse. Peanut knows there's no point in even wasting the summoner spell there.
FlyQuest are really finding their opportunities. They're not just rolling over, they're playing their comps win conditions here. And honestly, if HLE didn't steal that Dragon, you would start getting really nervous for them.
I will also say that the standards with which I hold HLE to, they are not delivering so far in this series. While their laning phase has been very promising, this mid game, similar to last game, they just get caught. And this is not something I typically associate with HLE. Their team fighting, however, can't afford to be underestimated as...
Oh, nice lock up there with a solar flare from Busio, but Delight can still get himself away. Yes, Spiraling Despair connects, but there's no way they can do enough damage to follow up with the tier 1 still standing.
But still, that's Cleanse, that's Flash off of Viper. FlyQuest constantly taxing these resources here from HLE, not making their job easy in this game. Viper going to be under a lot more pressure now in these next fights, and you look over at the gold advantages for FlyQuest, it's right where they want them. It's Quad, it's Masu. This is the new generation of FlyQuest. They put so much faith in these carries, and you can see in the win probability powered by AWS getting a lot closer to parity here. Jumped up to a very heavily HLE favored game, but they are threatening this Baron. And this is Zyra. You can rush this.
Yeah, this is such a good Zyra tactic. Using the ulti, the Stranglethorns to force it down. Inspired and Masu know it's there. A nice sidestep on the Keeper's Verdict from Inspired. He's
you want to
keep it leashed. FlyQuest is threatening to just try to steal it away. They even dropped the Redemption, but the burst already onto Masu. They're going to be able to kill him up, but FlyQuest claims the Baron. A little bit more damage, might be able to kill Delight. They're trying to chase after him. Now you got the Ragnarok. Peanut trying to get away with a flashback over the wall. FlyQuest still in hot pursuit. Jordan and Peanut looking to get away, but Viper is dead.
A massive team fight win for FlyQuest as they punish the Baron for HLE. It starts off incredibly well for HLE as they target out Masu, but the rest of the fight goes entirely the way of FlyQuest.
Exactly, it's just so smart from Inspired. You try to rush that in front of the Nunu's face, he just doesn't let you leash it, and now they're going for Zeka.
Busio wants in, they knock Zeka up into the air, but the wind wall is doing a ton of heavy lifting, keeping the Yasuo alive. Busio has gone in too far, Spiraling Despair is there. Zeka survives the explosion, and Doran now chases after Quad. Inspired needs to get the hell out of town as FlyQuest overplay their hand a little bit here in the mid lane. Let's take another look at the Baron steal.
Exactly, just a heads up play here from Inspired. They use the Zyra ulti to try to burn this down, and he says, no, you don't get to leash it. I just need to get this thing down to about 3K, and I can actually finish it off. So Bwipo helps focus it. Well, on the side, Zeka gets in onto that Kalista, bursts him down, but Quad over the wall is just shredding them with the AoE, gets so many members down low. Then Bwipo is just focusing on Peanut, who came over to try to steal that Baron, wasn't able to do it. He's out of the fight, and FlyQuest run over him.
I mean, it was good a response from FlyQuest because you could see the play from Inspired. I'm convinced that the shot calling was get the Baron.
They are happy about that.
They were saying, get the Baron, get out. And Inspired paths towards the wall, but I swear it was a con from Whippo that said, no, 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 we can fight. He hesitates, and then they turn back and for the re-engage, and you can see why Whippo had that confidence because the damage on your screen showcases he was just tearing HLE apart.
And you know what? So much credit to Whippo. Look at how hard this game was for how it started out. He's actually up in gold now after getting dove 2 times early on a champion that generally needs to play from ahead. He has found ways to be effective, found ways to get gold, and found ways to give FlyQuest a chance in this game.
He's also found a way behind enemy lines. Whippo is on the flank. He's pretty isolated right now. Peanut is already down. Solar Flare sets it up for Whippo to knock it down, and now it's a double kill in second. It's already dead here too. Doran running away. FlyQuest pushing again. They are out fighting HLE, and FlyQuest have a 5v3.
It's Whippo on the flank after he forced Peanut's flash over by the Baron. They get in on the backline. They use the Severing Bolt from Quad as well to get the extra damage to finish him off. And they're going to have Prio on this Dragon. They're going to be moving to Soul Point here with the Cloud Soul, with this team that heavily relies on movement. It's going to be strong.
Whippo is a talented man, but I did not know that he was such a proficient gardener. The way that he just cut through that Zyra made it look seamless as they get themselves their 3rd Dragon of the game.
Wide.
That was Whippo's stats in game number 1. Despite the fact that it ended in a FlyQuest loss, despite the fact that Whippo getting caught at that Gromp at the end did end in tragedy, here in game number 2, Azael, I think you're putting it perfectly. The early game was the nightmare situation for a top laner. You're down 30 CS, you're down a level, they're constantly diving you, you've got no help, and Whippo just widened his stance and walked into the mid game.
And I think what's crucial is the differences between last game and this game. In the last game, I felt like that FlyQuest were punishing the decisions by HLE, but when it came to trying to take control themselves, it was hard for them. But this time around, I feel like that they have a lot more tools to take control of space. They have the ability to force their way in, and a lot of that comes off the back of this Nunu. Because you just start the snowball, you throw it down a lane, and immediately Hanwha Life always has to respect it.
And I have to give a lot of credit to how Inspired and Busio are playing as a duo. I feel like they're really taxing the summoners here nonstop by pushing forward, by finding opportunities to really threaten these carries on the HLE side. And HLE is getting pushed back, but of course they do still have some really strong members on this team, and they could potentially just fight their way out of this. Peanut obviously at a really powerful point in the game. Viper going to be scaling up and really difficult to deal with as he gets towards his 3rd item too.
You talked about the value of Cloud Soul earlier, Azael. I mean, look at how speedy Inspired is already. This man is rolling his way across the rift. Doran will use the control ward, but they set the Soul Ball onto Viper.
Oh, Viper does get knocked airborne, but they can't keep on chasing. A little bit disjointed there as Inspired walks back away, but they still get the cleanse thanks to the Solar Flare. Although Viper was safe, he was still worried enough about this engage that he used the summoner.
You'll notice though that FlyQuest, they're still overstacking on the top side of the map. HLE are doing a good job of catching waves at awkward times for FlyQuest, which means that they can't properly set up on 2 lanes. So FlyQuest are just constantly looking for opportunities with the snowball. Whippo.
Yeah, Whippo putting some damage into Doran here, getting a little bit of vengeance for the early game, but Viper is ready to back up his top laner. FlyQuest contesting for the enemy blue buff. There is vision inside this blue buff brush. Two-shot barrage shot out, but it ain't gonna matter. Blue secured there for FlyQuest, stealing away another mini objective from HLE.
Now, we don't want to see FlyQuest make the same mistake that they did before, where they failed the siege, and then they were just picking up camps on the map, because HLE, look, you can already see it, Peanut, in the window that you're recalling, moves out onto the map, getting vision control. He's using the window and timing that he has to get information and gather opportunities. And that was how FlyQuest got punished in the previous game, so now they need to focus and start pressuring through 2 lanes to gain more control.
But one of the massive differences between last game and this game is that last game it was HLE that were threatening Soul. This game it's FlyQuest that are, right?
True.
So they have the ability to show up to the objective, force their opponents to come into them. And you look at all this supportive itemization between Inspired and Busio. They have double locket, they have a redemption on the Nunu here, and they're building for this style to really just enable their carries to try to stop that initial burst of damage that's always going to be coming out from HLE's comp, and then to allow them to take over. And Quad, it feels like, I don't even know if I've seen him use his flash this game. He has been playing so carefully, positioning very well, pumping out damage, and if they can enable him in these team fights, he is going to be such a problem for HLE.
Yeah, Quad 3, 0, and 5. 2 items fully completed with the Luden's Companion and the Horizon Focus. has the pieces of the next item, still just trying to combine that. We have got 90 seconds until the next Drake spawns. It is that very powerful Cloud Soul for this FlyQuest comp. When you have Olaf with Cloud Soul, he is just a ballistic missile in the fight.
And Quad just finished his third item here, so he is ahead of the curve. Strongest member, it feels like, of the team. And you look over at where Zeka is, he is just at 2 end pieces. Viper doesn't have his third item yet either.
If we're talking about items, we're talking about money. We should be talking about a 1.7 thousand gold lead for Bwipo. The recovery from the early game, we already touched on it, but it feels like it just keeps growing here for the Olaf.
And it might seem weird to you that he's got magic resistance. Oh, hang
Hold on now. Inspired, eating a little bit of damage here, but they're going to stun up Doran instead. Spiraling Despair. The Sterix Gauge is not going to keep the Gator alive. Baron is up.
They're going to start the Baron here. They're going to try to force HLE into a 4v5 fight. Look at where Zeka is. He's got a TP.
The rest of HLE still has all of their resources, though. Keep it in mind. Looks like they're not going to fight for it. Zeka just trying to take the tier 2 instead.
They're going to try to play for the bot lane tier 2 and try to set up for this dragon because they know they can't give soul. So they're trying to play for the tier 2s. They're pushing up mid. They're pushing up bot. They're trying to get vision here to try to play to deny soul. They know if they give up soul from this spot, they are very close to losing the game.
Big gold influx there with 2 tier 2s being knocked down. Zeka wants to use the TP. It's interrupted by Inspired. They found the Yasuo, but do they have the follow-up in time? HLE reinforcing their mid laner as FlyQuest cannot get the pick in time.
Bwipo is still threatening. Someone's got to go and answer him, and it can only really be Doran now because he's the only one with the TP, but he's going to be late to the play. He can't use his TP, so the tier 2 tower is gone. Bwipo can base, buy another item, and look for soul here.
HLE, though, they're going to start up the Drake. They want to force this down before FlyQuest is able to respond. Busio and Inspired stepping up. Bwipo coming in right behind him here with the TP. HLE, they can try to teleport Dorian in if they really want to try to contest this, but it looks like that's not the play. The Dragon Soul should be secured here, barring something completely wacky, and that's it. Soul secured for FlyQuest.
The interrupt onto Zeka's back was so important, because after getting those 2 towers, you typically have to spend your time pushing the waves back out, allowing HLE to reset, spend the gold, be in a position to contest, but they were forced to stay. And by being forced to stay, FlyQuest got to go back to base and was ready to contest. Now with the Baron buff, now with the Soul, they set their sights on the base of Hanwha Live.
Exactly, they can put this pressure on, and even if you're looking towards a potential bailout of an Elder flip, well, it's not a flip. You're playing against Kalista, you're playing against Nunu, this comp that has such powerful secure on these objectives, so if they can continue to extend this advantage, HLE can't just win through sides, and they can't really depend on just stealing an objective.
Now, we have to see if FlyQuest can keep this momentum up, if they can keep this late game feeling clean. It's almost 30 minutes on the clock. They've got the Soul, they've got the Baron. Solar Flare isn't going to find anything, but it will create some space. Inspired still trying to frontline as Bwipo's ready to go berserk and dive right on in, but a Keeper's Verdict knocks one of the remaining players of FlyQuest away. It's already
Quad's in trouble.
going over to Fly. Doran into the back line. Quad in some trouble, but he flashes away. Bwipo needs a little bit more damage, but he ain't going to find Viper. FlyQuest, though, still firing back into Doran. They don't have the damage for the kill here just yet. A flash forward from Inspired for a point-blank snowball as Masu rescues Busio, but he's caught by the Strangle Thorns, and Viper's got the damage to kill him. Busio's gonna be cleaned up now as well. FlyQuest force hard, trying to look for the big moment there. It ends up being a 2-for-2, 3-for-2.
A bit of an overstep from FlyQuest, but they get the objective. They got what they wanted, which was the inhibitor. I understand the idea, because a few more kills could have meant the game. And when the game is right before you against HLE, you have to take those opportunities.
And if it weren't for a couple of key plays here, the rejection on Masu, knocking him out of the fight, was absolutely massive from Delight. And also, Bwipo just barely cannot actually finish off the Ezreal. So if Masu doesn't get knocked out of the fight, if Viper dies, this could be the game-ending play here. Bwipo decides fully commit to it. He thought he had the kill there, then tries to back off, mis-executed on the play, overestimated his damage, thought Viper was dead on that last E, doesn't get him.
If that axe hits Viper and he can't go back and heal, come back and contribute to the fight here, it might just be the end of the game. You can see the frustration on Bwipo's face, but he's got to get it together, got to keep his head on straight. The game goes on. FlyQuest still up a little bit over 3,000 gold, 2.5 minutes till Baron, 3.5 minutes till Elder.
I mean, this is huge for not just FlyQuest, but also for North America to put the pressure against the first seed from the LCK. Expectations were, I mean, like, you told the story at the very start of the series, Azel, which was that both of them were like, the bridesmaids, they were the brides, then they became the brides, everyone was happy, and then all of a sudden, nope, back to bridesmaids. And because it became the story of Team Liquid and Gen G are the return, like those were the stronger perceived teams. And then FlyQuest coming into this, we all agreed, expectations clear. Hanwha Life should be clear favorites, LCK first seed, and like this should be a walk in the park for them. So the fact that FlyQuest are competing in the team fights, they're punishing the mistakes is huge.
Inspired rolling in with a snowball here, but not a whole lot to find.
Nice combo though. Snowball into the Severing Bolt. Chunks out Viper quite a bit, and they're going to threaten here.
Yeah, they want to fully engage this time. They've got a lot of damage onto the light, and that is an easy pick for FlyQuest. 5v4 now for the next 40 seconds. They're going to continue to push under the tier 3 turret. Stranglethorn's used to not great efficacy. Peanut still trying to get away back through the wall as the Ragnaroking Bwipo zones everybody else out. He's got to be careful about this when he's tanking a lot of damage here from the tier 3 turret. FlyQuest needs another wave as HLE hold on.
And they're just trying to force mid because there's the super minions coming in through bot, so they're trying to draw HLE back towards the mid lane here, but they get a little bit too low. Bwipo obviously not playing Flash, so Peanut can just utilize that base gate and just walk to the left, walk to the right there, forces Bwipo in a position where he knows, okay, I gotta back off. I can't actually get this kill.
I admire the amount of respect the FlyQuest is showing because they should be in a position to really steamroll, but HLE have demonstrated the individual prowess and their ability to outplay in the 5v5. So even though they had a numbers advantage, they used a lot of their tools to get that initial kill, and they wisely said, let's not overforce, let's reset. Baron is in 45 seconds. That's the easier objective for us to play for, so let's play for that instead.
Exactly, and when you talk about move speed, you talk about the advantage that Cloud Soul gives you. Playing a fight in an open map, it is way more powerful than when you're fighting your opponents by their base, by the base gates. So FlyQuest, no, we have Nunu, we have Kalista, we have the advantage on the secure, and we have the soul to chase you down if you overstep. So it's not a bad decision here to just back up if it's not a guaranteed win by the base and play towards these objectives. Try to get Baron, try to play towards Elder, and utilize these super buffs to close the game.
FlyQuest now marching up towards the Baron pit. 10 seconds on that timer. Elder about 60 seconds away. HLE moving up as a 4-man unit. Zeka pushing out the bottom lane wave. He'll be able to join with a TP if that's the call HLE want to make. FlyQuest got the Baron down to about half, and the TP's coming in from Zeka. There's a lot of spears from Kalista in this Baron right now with Kalista and Inspired together. FlyQuest are going to try to secure it, and they've already got it. Bwipo running into the middle of everybody. Doran trying to do the same thing on the opposite side. Keeper's verdict game going to find a single ejection as now Doran is already down. Masu's grabbing the first kill. FlyQuest is ready to keep going, and Boostio's got a lockup, but he may have gone too far forward. Boostio's going to be killed there by the True Shot Barrage. A 1-for-1 trade as FlyQuest claims the Baron.
The team fighting press is still very scary from Hanwha Life as FlyQuest overstep a little bit, but crucially the objective is secured. That is what FlyQuest wanted. The Elder in 10 seconds.
And part of the problem is Doran will have TP. Boostio will not have that teleport, and so they are going to have a potential 5v4 here. So FlyQuest have to make a decision. Do we actually go for this? I think they just try to delay. Look at the supers going bot.
The supers are marching bottom lane, but HLE has found their way into the Elder Dragon pit. TP ready to join. Delight is behind. A 4v4 for the next 15 seconds. Doran is still capable of joining. You gotta be careful if you're on HLE. Zeka's here on the front line, but a beautiful True Shot Barrage. Quad's gonna be taken down surely. Zeka's gonna find him with the last breath, but it's a 1-for-1 trade. Bwipo's still here on the front line. Viper running and gunning. He kites him out. He fights it out. Him against Masu and Inspired. But the Nunu and Kalista together will secure the Elder Dragon. Doran respawns, but he has to defend the base.
And now they can try to look to push here. They have the extra man. Boostio has respawned. They're going to try to go down towards bot. They're looking to see if they can actually catch Viper, but they're not going to be able to do it. So it is just the objective and a reset here for FlyQuest.
The fights are absolutely crazy. I'm genuinely impressed with how Hanwha Life keep these fights so close when they should be so far behind. But ultimately, it is the Elder secured for FlyQuest, and it feels like it's simply a matter of time before FlyQuest close this one
and
out.
It's really just all on the back of Viper. It's so difficult for them to get to this Ezreal. He's so evasive. Delight finds a really good angle, though, here, and credit to him. Gets into towards the back line, slams Quad against the wall. He gets knocked up. Zeka flashes in on him, is able to finish him off with his dying breath.
And look at Bwipo on the back line. He's able to take out Peanut, but he doesn't quite have any resources left. And you talked about the positioning of Viper. Elegantly dances around the fight, dishing out as much damage as he can. At the end of the day, though, the Elder secured. FlyQuest have all of the tools that they need to get a big win against Hanwha Life.
It's a 1.5-minute window here. They've got to get something done now. Only 45 seconds on the Baron, 1.5 minutes on the Elder. If the Baron expires, HLE can just go into wave clear mode and let the Elder expire too.
Remember, the Elder is only active on Kalista, Leona, and Nunu. You don't have it for the Hui. You don't have it for the Olaf. FlyQuest now grouping up here in the top lane. Bottom lane inhibitor exposed, but respawned now for HLE. FlyQuest ahead by about 7,000 gold, but really it's all just about execution now if they want to try to force a fight. Inspired rolling in with a snowball. Baron's got 10 seconds left on it. FlyQuest knows if they want to try to hard force, it's got to be now. The top lane tier 3 turret is down. Top lane inhibitor is down. FlyQuest marching towards the Nexus turrets of HLE. Inspired throws a snowball, but he doesn't want to overcommit here just yet. Elder is still active. They're diving in towards HLE. Delight's going to be here on the front line, already executed by the Elder. Dragon Doran's going to be killed off next. They're doing it! Already dead for HLE. FlyQuest going for the throat. Zeka will not survive. A double kill back over the quad. Nexus turret still standing, but they're the only damn thing. FlyQuest, they've still got everybody. It's only Viper to try to defend here at just a barely hanging on second Nexus turret. That one's already down. Nexus turret number 2, it's on its way into the rubble pit as well. FlyQuest defying expectations, taking us to game 3.
What a performance from FlyQuest, stepping up, making it competitive in game 1 and taking over in game 2, coming out with clear ideas of how they want to play the comp, of how they want to be able to make this happen, and being able to execute.